Mickey Mantle is 58 years old. He's been retired from baseball longer than he played, but his legend keeps going. There are people who don't know anything about baseball who know something about Mickey Mantle.
I'm more popular now than I've ever been in my life. I don't know why.
Mantle might be humble about it, but he's more than just one of baseball's all-time greats. He's one of the last true heroes of sport. And his relationship with players like Billy Martin is the stuff legends are made of. But a part of Mantle died along with his good friend Martin Christmas night, and more than a month later, that is something Mickey still has trouble with.
Well, it's tough, you know, I mean, to lose people like that.
I know you told.
I don't like talking.
Mantle's emotion is as real as anything in his life, one which has had so much behind the home runs and headlines. The early death of his father, and most of the men in his family had the Mick wondering if he would see age 40 before he wondered about hitting home run number 40.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Yeah, I'm not even supposed to be alive, right? And everything's great. It's surprising to me, you know, that I am doing good and still living and having fun.
And fun is really what Mickey Mantle is all about, and what baseball is all about, despite how things have changed.
It seems to me that the players play to the camera more than they should. I don't know. I mean, I can remember when Roger Maris hit his 61st home run. He ran around, all the way around the bases with his head down, run into the dugout, and the players had to push him out of the dugout to take a bow. Nowadays, if you advance a guy from second to third on a grounder, you come out for an applause. You know, I mean, it's mind-boggling sometimes.
What might really be mind-boggling is thinking what Mickey Mantle would make if he played today. Paul Crane, Channel 4 Sports. Mickey Mantle makes more money today than he ever did as a ball player, which says a lot about how baseball has changed. If top players today are getting $3 million a year, what would a Mickey Mantle command? Does it ever make your head spin to the point of where it's gonna, or can you even stand talking about it?
It makes you feel funny. I mean, especially some of the guys that are getting it. I have a feeling like whenever I played, the players were dumb. Now the owners are. I mean, to give a guy a 10-year contract for $3 million a year has got to take the incentive out of it, you know. I know that I played a lot of games hurt, that I probably, if I'd have had a 10-year contract for $3 million a year, I bet I wouldn't have played in some of those games.
There's no doubt players in Mantle's era fought for every penny. He won the Triple Crown in 1956, hitting .353 with 52 home runs and 130 RBIs. Then in '57, .365 with 34 home runs and 94 RBIs.
I was the most valuable player 2 years in a row. The first contract I got the next year was for $5,000 raise because he said I didn't do as good as I did in '56, Mr. Weiss.
That's mind-boggling because in today's, you'd probably get a $1 million raise.
Finally, I only ended up getting a $10,000 raise that year, and I was the most valuable player twice in a row.
And just to continue that story, in 1958, Mantle slipped to .304 with 42 home runs and settled for $72,000. But in 1959, another good year, but less than MVP, and the Yankees offer a $17,000 pay cut. And Mantle had to hold out for 10 days in spring training just to get $10,000 less. What was your best year financially playing baseball?
I never did get over 100. I made 100,000 my last 7 years. They said that Joe D made 100. That was the most he ever made, and they didn't want to pay me more than him.
Mickey Mantle could always laugh, just never all the way to the bank. Paul Crane, Channel 4 Sports. Mickey Mantle is exactly that. Mickey Mantle, one of the few people who can say his occupation is his name. He's got a restaurant in New York, but remains the biggest hit at card shows. Mantle memorabilia is the most valuable among collectors. His trading cards are worth more than any others. And his new video is quickly one of the top sellers in the country. A new Mickey Mantle book is in the works, along with a movie on his last book. The Mick is one of a kind, from a game we love, but in some ways just don't see anymore.
Early win one time, I hit a line drive right at his head, right back through the middle. He was pitching for the Washington Senators, and he hollered it, "I'm on first," and you're not supposed to hit a ball back at early win. I mean, that was a rule. Hit it anywhere you want to, but don't hit it back at him, because it made him mad. He yelled at Roy Sievers, who was playing first base, and he said, "Get behind him." I'm on first base, right? Roy says, "What?" He said, "Get behind him." So Roy Sievers is standing right behind me, and he whirls around like he's trying to pick me off at first. He's throwing the ball at me on first base.
Things certainly are different today, not just in the way players act on the field, but off it as well. Now we are faced with a spring training lockout by baseball owners because they want major changes and fear another player's strike in mid-season if they don't get them.
It gets on my nerves. You know, I mean, how can you strike when you're making money like that? I mean, I don't know what would they do? If you wasn't making $3 million playing ball, what would you do to make $3 million? It's pretty hard out there, you know?
Mickey Mantle retired after the 1968 season, and while he missed the millions, he has no regrets.
Baseball was great to me, you know. That guy who used to be on Saturday Night Live, baseball be very good to me, but it has, and life has been great. I couldn't be happier right now.
Paul Crane, Channel 4 Sports.
Baseball has a special spot in the hearts of many Americans, but you don't need to be a sports fan to know who Mickey Mantle is. Don't really need to be an American. Mantle has lived in Dallas for more than 20 years and is synonymous with baseball.
Well, I'm not one of these old-timers that don't think baseball is as good as it used to be. See, I think that the kids nowadays maybe are better athletes on the whole than they used to be.
The athletes may be better, but somehow sports heroes just aren't what they used to be. Mickey Mantle played 18 years with the Yankees, most of them battling injury, but he missed out on the big-money free agent era, where the dollars have become mind-boggling even to superstars.
That's probably the biggest change that has taken place is the money, you know. I said when I think I made Mr. Steinbrenner mad. Somebody asked me, well, what was the difference there, you know, in money? I said, well, I think in the days that I played, we had smart owners and dumb players. Now we got dumb owners and smart players, I think. One of the differences is that these guys are businessmen, you know. We never had briefcases or anything like that. When a guy comes to the ballpark to play nowadays, he's got a briefcase and a lawyer and an agent. It's like an entourage, you know. They all have a corporation, so to speak. And when we come to the ballpark, we just come out there to play ball, you know. And I think that's probably the biggest difference.
Contract negotiations as different as the numbers in them. In 1958, Mantle hits 42 home runs and bats .304 on today's market, worth well over $1 million. Mantle gets $72,000. A year later, he hits 31 home runs. The Yankees offer a $17,000 pay cut. Mickey holds out 10 days in spring training and signs for just $62,000.
We signed one-year contracts with, Dave Winfield's a good example. Dave Winfield signed a 20-year contract for $1.5 million a year. Well, $1.5 million is more than I made in 18 years with the Yankees. And he gets that. I don't know how I would have been. I mean, you know, people ask me what difference would it have made, and I don't know, because I never had a 20-year contract. You know, if I'd have had a 20-year contract making $1.5 million a year, I might not have played a lot of games that I did play. You know, I mean, I played a lot of times when I was hurt that I might not have played if I'd have had that kind of a contract. You know, I get a kick out of people say, how much would you be making now if you was playing? Whitey Ford won 7 out of every 10 games he pitched. I mean, how could you pay him? There's no way you could pay like Ted Williams or Willie Mays, Hank Aaron. I don't know how they could pay those kind of guys nowadays, you know.
And the owners are lucky they don't have to worry about it. We'll have more with Mickey Mantle tomorrow night at 10 o'clock.
Good. I wish they could go on and on. And
Oh,
on.
yeah. It's just listening to him talk. It really is something else. A lot of great stories.
You couldn't tell it in the story there, but did you get the feeling at all that he resented anything at all?
No. I think Mickey Mantle is very happy with the way things have turned out. People still recognize, maybe not so much in Dallas, but he can't walk on the streets of New York without being mobbed, and I think he's really happy with the way his life turned out.
All right. Very good, Paul. Thanks.
Longtime Dallas resident Mickey Mantle is now enjoying life playing golf at Preston Trail when he's home, doing color commentary on a handful of Yankee cable TV games, as well as a number of promotional events across the country, sometimes running around with his old pals Whitey Ford and Billy Martin, who helped him get into all sorts of trouble.
When you say go out drinking, actually we didn't go out drinking. We went out to eat, you know, like on the road. And we'd have 2 or 3 drinks maybe before dinner, and then 3 or 4 after dinner, you know. I mean, it might end up in a, like, it looked like we just went out to drink, but most of the time it was just going out to eat on the road.
A lot of eating on a lot of road trips probably played its part in Mantle's retirement, and if he had to do it all over again, maybe he'd have ordered room service more often.
Well, yeah, I'd take better care of myself. I feel like that, like I was telling you that story about me and whenever me and Whitey and Billy used to be, when we was kids, Allie Reynolds and Vic Rashy and some of the older guys, Hank Bauer and Gene Woodling, some of the older guys would say, hey, you guys better slow down, you're going to be over the hill before your time. And it actually came about, you know. I mean, I retired when I was 36 years old, but the last 4 years, I was really already through, you know.
Mantle ended his career as a first baseman on losing Yankee teams, but he will always be thought of as the Hall of Fame center fielder on one of the greatest dynasties in all of sport.
There's so many good things happen to me that it's really hard to pick. I had 18 World Series home runs, which is more than anybody ever had. The Triple Crown, there's only been like 4 guys do that. I went in the Hall of Fame on my first try. There's only been like 16 guys do that. But I think probably the thing that I remember more than anything else, in 1969, they had Mickey Mantle Day at Yankee Stadium. I retired in '68. In 1969, they had Mickey Mantle Day, and they retired my number 7. There was like 70,000 people showed up at Yankee Stadium that day. And at that time, they had only retired numbers 3, 4, and 5 for Ruth and Gehrig and DiMaggio. And to have your number retired with those 3 guys is just about all any ball player could ever ask for, you know. So I think that was probably the biggest thing that ever happened to me.
I've often wondered how a man who knew he was going to die could stand here and say that he was the luckiest man in the world. But now I think I know how Lou Gehrig felt.
You like the way things are going today?
Oh, couldn't be any better. Belong to a great golf course out here, a bunch of great guys, and I love Dallas, you know. I mean, everything's great.
Everything always looked great with Mickey. You know, he's an 8 handicapper, can play golf like the blazes. Wish we had time to show some of him playing golf, but the baseball kind of has overshadowed that over the years.
Nice to see an honest man, too.
Yeah, oh, the sports hero, really.